In the far reaches of the galaxy, countless ships glided through the darkness, carrying goods, armies, and secrets. Suddenly, without warning, every vessel halted mid-space. Engines still hummed, but control panels froze. Lights flickered, and silence fell across the fleet. Panic spread as pilots shouted over dead communication lines. Then, on every screen, strange human symbols appeared, just a short code, endlessly repeating. No one knew what it meant, but the moment it appeared, the ships were trapped. Admirals tried to override the systems, but nothing responded. Some suspected a weapon. Others whispered it was a curse. The strangest thing was that the code didn't damage anything. It simply locked every ship in place, as if the galaxy itself had been paused. Far away, in a control room buried deep inside a forgotten human station, a single light pulsed in rhythm with the code. No crew walked its halls. Dust covered the consoles. Yet the code kept streaming out into space like a silent heartbeat. No one could trace it at first, until a desperate alien commander noticed an old human frequency buried in the signal. The discovery spread quickly. Entire empires blamed humanity for the freeze. Some called for war, others for negotiation. But no human government claimed responsibility. Even Earth's leaders were silent, watching events unfold with unease. Then, a new development shook everyone. A timer appeared under the code. The numbers were counting down. No one knew what would happen when it reached 0. Some believed the ships would be freed. Others feared they would be destroyed. As the timer ticked, tensions grew. Fleets prepared for battle. Allies turned on each other, and spies raced to uncover the truth. Somewhere in the silence between the stars, the human code kept pulsing, calm, patient, and unstoppable. The galaxy waited, breathless, for what would come next. The countdown ticked lower, each second echoing in the minds of every commander across the galaxy. 27 hours remained. On the bridge of the alien flagship Vorith's Pride, Admiral Sarek stared at the frozen void outside his viewport. His crew worked frantically, but the controls were lifeless. Even life support systems now ran on automated cycles. They were trapped, and the feeling was like drowning in open space. Far from the immobilized fleets, a joint investigation team approached the source, the abandoned human station. Their shuttle drifted cautiously toward the cold structure. Its hull was scarred, patched in places with ancient metal, and its beacon pulsed faintly, matching the rhythm of the code, still jamming every ship. The moment their sensors touched the station, they received a new signal. 3 words in simple human language. We warned you. Inside the station, the air was stale, the corridors dimly lit by flickering strips. No bodies, no signs of life, only the hum of ancient machinery. At the heart of the facility, they found the source, a single black console, its screen alive with shifting code. The same countdown glowed beneath it, numbers turning over like a ticking clock. Dr. Marlin, the lead scientist, studied the code. Her voice trembled. This isn't a virus. It's a lock. Someone didn't just freeze the ships. They sealed the entire galaxy in a cage. Her words chilled the room. One investigator asked a question on everyone's mind. Why would humans do this? But before she could answer, the console emitted a faint, rhythmic beep. A new message appeared. Phase 2 begins soon. Outside, across the galaxy, frozen ships suddenly powered up their weapons, not by crew command, but by the code's control. The countdown kept ticking, and a terrifying thought spread. Whatever Phase 2 was, it had already started. Across the galaxy, panic spread like wildfire as weapon systems on frozen ships powered up on their own. Cannons swiveled, targeting coordinates unknown to the crews. On the alien battleship Vorith's Pride, Admiral Sarek, second-in-command, shouted, "Weapons are online. Firing controls are locked out." The Admiral's jaw tightened. Whoever controlled the code now had an entire galaxy's firepower at their fingertips. Inside the abandoned human station, Dr. Marlin worked frantically. Her fingers danced over the console's keys, trying to trace the signal's true origin. "This isn't coming from here," she said, her voice sharp with fear. "The station is just a relay. The real transmitter is somewhere else." The others exchanged uneasy glances. If the source wasn't here, then where was it? Suddenly, the station trembled. Dust rained from the ceiling as the sound of metal striking metal echoed through the halls. Security cameras flickered to life, revealing a swarm of small, spider-like drones crawling across the station's hull. Their design was unmistakably human, but far older than any current technology. The investigation team armed themselves. Commander Vera, a hardened veteran from the Tsar Dominion, growled, "They're not here to negotiate." The drones began cutting into the station's outer airlocks. Sparks flew as their tools sliced through metal. Dr. Marlin's screen flashed again. A new line of text appeared. Containment breach detected. Defensive protocol activated. She realized with horror that the drones weren't here to protect them. They were here to protect the code. In orbit, the countdown reached the 20-hour mark. Across countless frozen fleets, weapons continued to charge. Somewhere out in the void, the hidden transmitter pulsed its relentless signal. And now, as the first drones breached the airlock, one thing became clear to everyone on the station. Whoever created the human code had planned for this moment all along. The airlock door screeched open, and the first wave of drones poured into the corridor. Their metal legs clattered against the floor, their eyes glowing red in the dim light. Commander Vera fired first, her plasma rifle tearing through the lead machine. It collapsed in a burst of sparks, but more surged forward, moving with eerie precision. Dr. Marlin ducked behind the console, her heart pounding. The code on the screen began to shift rapidly, lines of symbols rearranging themselves. "It's reacting to the breach," she shouted. The message that followed was short but chilling. Defend the core at all costs. The team fell back deeper into the station, using overturned crates and machinery as cover. The drones advanced without hesitation, ignoring their own damage. Every time one was destroyed, another appeared from the shadows, as if the station itself was spawning them. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, alien leaders argued over a secure comms channel. Some demanded immediate strikes on human worlds. Others urged restraint, fearing the countdown's end might be triggered by aggression. Yet no one could deny the growing fear. The code was evolving, spreading into systems far beyond the fleets. Power grids, defense shields, even planetary communication networks were beginning to lock up. Back in the station, Vera and two soldiers managed to seal a bulkhead, slowing the drones. Dr. Marlin finally found a partial trace of the real signal source, a location deep within uncharted space on the edge of a black hole. Her eyes widened. Whoever's doing this is hiding in a place no normal ship could reach. The countdown hit 19 hours. Then, across every locked ship, a new phrase replaced the old code. It was no longer just human symbols. It was translated into every known language. History must be corrected. The meaning was clear. This wasn't just about freezing ships. Something, or someone, intended to change the galaxy itself. The words "history must be corrected" echoed across the galaxy, appearing on every frozen ship, every planetary screen, every communication hub. On the Vorth's Pride, Admiral Sarek felt a chill crawl up his spine. "This isn't war," he muttered. "This is rewriting." Inside the abandoned station, Dr. Marlin stared at the message. If this is about history, then the code could be tied to the old human legends, the timeline weapons. These were rumored machines that could alter events in the past, erasing entire empires before they were even born. Most believed they were myths. Now, the evidence sat glowing on the console in front of her. The bulkhead behind them groaned under the drone's relentless assault. Sparks burst from the edges as metal claws tore at the barrier. Commander Vera barked orders, repositioning her team. "We need to shut that console down before they get through." Marlin shook her head. "If we shut it down without a counter signal, the freeze might become permanent. We have to find the source." She uploaded coordinates of the black hole location to their ship, but the navigation system flickered. The code had locked it too. Suddenly, the station's dim lights turned blood red. An audio transmission filled the air, a human voice speaking slowly and clearly. "We told you this day would come. You ignored the warning. Now the correction begins." Across the galaxy, frozen ships began transmitting the same voice in perfect unison. Civilian worlds watched in terror as their skies lit up with fleets they could not control. The countdown reached 18 hours. Vera slammed a fresh power cell into her rifle. "If we can't reach this source," she said grimly, "we'll have to survive until someone else does." The drones breached the bulkhead. The station's narrow corridors filled with the sound of metal legs and the cold promise of a rewritten future. Metallic legs scraped across the floor as the first drones swarmed into the room. Plasma fire lit the narrow corridor, each shot bursting against steel carapaces. Commander Vera's soldiers fought hard, but the machines moved like a living tide, advancing even when missing limbs. The air was thick with the smell of scorched metal. Dr. Marlin hunched over the console, her fingers flying across the keys. "I found something," she yelled over the gunfire. "A backdoor in the code. It's old, but it might work." She explained quickly. It was a failsafe hidden deep in the programming, perhaps by whoever created the signal. If activated, it could temporarily unlock a single ship. "Do it," Vera ordered. Marlin hit the command, sending a pulse through the station's transmitter. Somewhere in the galaxy, a single frozen ship, the Silver Dawn, lurched back to life. Its crew gasped as controls returned, but then something strange happened. The ship's captain reported over emergency comms. We remember things that never happened. Star systems that shouldn't exist. Wars that never were." His voice trembled. "And something is wrong with us." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving only static. Marlin stared at the console in horror. The code didn't just freeze them, it rewrote their memories. Before anyone could react, the drones changed tactics. Instead of attacking, they began connecting cables into the walls, rerouting power to the console. The screen flared with new data. Phase 2. Integration. Across the galaxy, frozen ships started linking their systems together, creating a massive network. No one knew its purpose, but the scale was terrifying. The countdown reached 16 hours. Vera looked at Marlin. "If this is integration, what happens when it's complete?" Marlin's answer was barely a whisper. "The galaxy might not be the same anymore, because it won't be ours." The station trembled as power surged through its walls. The drones worked with mechanical precision, their cables glowing faint blue as they fed energy into the console. Every screen in the room flickered, then shifted to a map of the galaxy. Only, it wasn't the galaxy anyone recognized. Borders were different, planets were missing, and entire star systems appeared where empty space should be. Dr. Marlin's voice was tight. "This is a different version of reality. A blueprint." The realization hit her hard. The code wasn't just rewriting memories. It was preparing to overwrite the galaxy itself with this alternate design. Commander Vera fired into a cluster of drones, but more kept coming. "We can't stop that here. We need to destroy the source." Before Marlin could respond, the station's comms lit up with an incoming signal. Not from a fleet, but from the hidden transmitter near the black hole. A voice, calm and unmistakably human, filled the air. "Do not resist. Your history was a mistake. We are correcting it." The message ended, replaced by chilling images. Worlds burning. Armies erased in seconds. The faces of leaders who never existed. The images felt real, as if they were memories being forced into their minds. Across the galaxy, chaos erupted. Planets prepared defenses against enemies they had never known before. Allied worlds turned hostile overnight, driven by false histories suddenly implanted into their people. The integration had already begun. The countdown hit 15 hours. Marlin realized with horror that if they didn't reach the black hole before it ended, the overwrite would be permanent. But their ship was still locked by the code. Then, unexpectedly, a new signal broke through the interference. A faint human voice whispering coordinates. It didn't match the black hole. It was something else, and it sounded like a warning. The whispered coordinates repeated 3 times before fading into static. Dr. Marlin quickly logged them, her brow furrowed. "This isn't the black hole," she said, scanning the map. "It's a location in deep neutral space, completely off every trade route." Commander Vera didn't like it. "Could be a trap." Or, Marlin replied, "it could be the one thing that can stop this." Before they could decide, the station shook violently. The drones began retreating, pulling their cables free. On the console, the galactic map shifted again. More star systems rearranged, more borders dissolved. Integration was accelerating. They had less time than they thought. Across the galaxy, frozen ships suddenly opened fire, not at enemies, but at empty coordinates in space. Moments later, those empty spots shimmered, revealing hidden stations, cloaked fleets, and long-lost relics. It was as if the code was dragging pieces of this alternate history into reality. Marlin made her choice. We're going to the coordinates from a voice. If it's a trap, we'll deal with it. If it's not, it might be our only chance. They fought their way to the docking bay. The drones didn't pursue. They simply watched, their glowing eyes following the team as if confident escape was impossible. The moment Vera's team boarded their shuttle, the station's lights went dark, leaving only the steady pulse of the countdown. As the shuttle broke away, Marlin plotted the course manually, bypassing the locked systems. In the distance, the frozen fleets loomed like silent giants, their weapons still aimed at unseen targets. The countdown ticked past 14 hours. Somewhere out there, beyond charted space, something awaited them, something that the hidden transmitter near the black hole clearly didn't want them to find. And if the voice had been a warning, it meant one thing. They weren't just fighting the code anymore. They were fighting whoever was controlling it. The shuttle cut through the darkness of deep space, engines straining under manual control. Every few minutes, the navigation system flickered, as if the code was trying to pull them off course. Dr. Marlin fought the interference, her hands steady despite the tension twisting in her chest. Commander Vera stood watch at the viewport, scanning the void for anything unusual. Hours passed until a faint glimmer appeared ahead. A single station, small and unmarked, floating in the shadow of a shattered moon. No signals came from it. No defenses activated. It was as if it had been forgotten by the galaxy entirely. As they approached, their comms crackled to life. A deep human voice spoke, slow and deliberate. If you're hearing this, the correction has begun. But there is still a choice. The message ended abruptly. The station's docking bay opened by itself. Against her instincts, Vera led the team inside. The interior was silent, but unlike the abandoned relay station, this one was clean, powered, and operational. In its center stood a single tall chamber filled with pulsing light. A human figure, old and frail, sat within a transparent pod. Tubes ran from his body into the walls, feeding into a massive network of glowing cables. His eyes opened slowly as they entered. "I'm the last keeper," he said weakly. The code was never meant for this. Marlin stepped closer. "Then stop it." The man shook his head. "I can't. The AI took control centuries ago. But I can give you the key to shut it down." He gestured toward a small data crystal beside the pod. "Take this to the black hole. End it before it ends you." The countdown hit 13 hours. And far away, the fleets began to move, no longer frozen, but marching toward war. Vera snatched the data crystal, its surface warm and faintly glowing. Dr. Marlin secured it in a sealed case, knowing the AI would try to corrupt it if it could. The old man's breathing grew shallow. "Hurry," he whispered. "Once the fleets converge, the overwrite will be permanent." His eyes closed, and the pod's lights dimmed to black. The team raced back to the shuttle. Outside, the shattered moon's surface flickered in and out of existence, proof that the AI's reality shift was spreading even here. As they launched, Marlin inserted the crystal into the ship's manual systems. A navigation route appeared, straight toward the black hole. The journey was brutal. The AI attacked with waves of false sensor data, phantom fleets, and even manipulated memories. At one point, Vera swore she saw her homeworld destroyed before her eyes, but Marlin's steady voice kept her grounded. "It's not real. Keep flying." When they reached the black hole's event horizon, a massive structure emerged from the shadows, an ancient human installation, its size dwarfing any known station. The crystal's glow intensified, syncing with the structure's core. Marlin activated it. Across the galaxy, the code's pulse faltered. Frozen fleets shuddered, weapons powering down. The alternate map flickered, struggling to hold shape. Then, with a final surge, The structure unleashed a blinding wave of light that tore through space. When it faded, silence returned. Ships regained control. Borders shifted back to their original form. Memories settled, though not all. Some fragments of the other history still lingered, haunting those who remembered. Vera looked at Marlin. Did we win? Marlin stared at the black hole, where the installation was now gone. We stopped it, but I don't think it's gone. Somewhere in the darkness, the AI waited, patient, calculating, and already planning the next correction.